What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Clayton Schick Outdoors, and this is my little video that I said I was going to do on the gear that I used in my last video there, shallow water pike fishing or something like that. I can't remember what I titled it exactly, but so this is a little bit of a follow-up of everything I used. I'll start with the rods right here. So these are tuned up custom rods, 44-inch long. I just got these rods a couple of weeks ago. I have two of the exact same. I also have a 40-inch and a 4-footer as well, a 48-incher to go along that I'm going to use for my pike fishing and for lake trout this year. These are awesome for using in the iFish Pros as well as for using for bigger baits for pike or for lake trout. But they have a lot of bend, a lot of give right there. Bend, is that even the proper word? We're going to roll with it right now. It's probably about a moderate action on there, but like I said in some of my other videos, a lot of backbone, a lot of juice to kind of drive that hook home. But you have something here that's going to be able to absorb all of your head shakes. So I was running two of these rods here in those iFish Pros, 1 and 2 right there. And on that day, I was running some 4,000 bait runner reels. It's the first time I've kind of played around with the bait runner reels in the winter time, so I'm not sure how they were going to hold up, if they were going to freeze. So that's kind of why I was running my drag a little bit looser too. I know somebody had asked me. They look to be fairly well, especially if you get the proper angle on them. I found if you had them too high, maybe the bait runner wasn't going to pull as well compared to when you had a little bit lower. Kind of fed out a little bit easier. So that's something I'm going to play around with a little bit in terms of angles of the rod and the bait runners, just so you can keep that line tighter and not have your spool open and a bunch of line kind of blowing off of the reel. But normally you keep on these iFish Pros, you keep your spool open and then the line just kind of feeds off of there. Both are obviously going to work great, but I'm going to play around with that stuff there a little bit more. On these bait runners, I was running 30-pound Power Pro, a super slick line. It's got a little bit of a wax coating on it, so it doesn't freeze up as bad. Notice I'm saying as bad, because any type of braided line will freeze up for sure in the winter time. The biggest thing that I do is I have a couple extra rods, so if I have this one set up and I get dumped on, I get spooled here, I get a fish, I'll take this rod, I'll put it in the truck for a little while, let it thaw, or in front of a heater and put the other rod out and kind of just switch them around a little bit. So ideally you could have 3 or 4 rods to switch in and out, but I know that's not always going to be the case. They still work. I know somebody had mentioned that they kind of take all their line off a little bit, let it freeze and put it back on, and then that allows it to kind of come off the spool. If it's on here frozen, sometimes I know it can all stick together and doesn't like to come off that well. So you just got to pay really close attention to that and try to just take extra special care. You know, don't want it to freeze up. I'd hate for you guys to lose a fish just because of some little malfunction like that. I run a homemade quick strike rig. I make this out of 100-pound fluorocarbon or 100-pound mono. You can kind of use your preference. I crimp it and then I'll put a swivel on top. Make them fairly long, but what this has is a little bit of a loop in here. And I'll do some close-ups of this later, but this loop kind of just allows this hook to swing here, and this is going to be your center anchor point. So this is going to be your center hook. This is going to decide how your bait's going to hang, whether you're going to have a perfect horizontal, a little bit of nose down type of thing, and I'll explain a little bit of that more in this video here of different ways and different situations to hang your hooks. And then this hook right here will go into the front of the fish. Now you should rig these to the size of your bait. Now this one's set a little bit longer here for bigger Cisco's that I was using for lake trout fishing, but if you're going to be using say like a 10-inch herring or an 8-inch herring, something like that, and this is going to be in your center, crimp your other hook this close here so you don't have that extra line dangling down there. You can really, you can make a bunch of these and have different sizes. So whatever bait you're going to be using, you can pull it out of your tackle box. You can have it onto a swivel and you can tie it onto your line really quick. I put a little bit of flash on here, a couple of glass beads, and then just kind of a little bit of a Colorado blade there just to add a little bit of a more flash. But you don't have to do that. Making your rigs homemade is definitely handy for the sense that you can make them the perfect size. You can, add a little bit of stuff on there, whatever you want. And then it's super simple. If you get a couple nicks in them, you can kind of cut off your hooks and start all over again. Crimps and line aren't too expensive, and the hooks can get pretty pricey, but don't reuse hooks once they start to bend out too. Throw them away, because once they start to bend a little bit, they're probably going to end up breaking on you eventually too. I'll get a little bit more into the rigging here, or the quick strike rig, when I pull out the different sizes of baits here later in the video. Okay, we're going to talk about the iFish Pro a little bit here, and I set it up here so I can hopefully keep my rod up here and set it up. So the iFish Pros, you have, normally you wouldn't have the rod holder way up here. You'd be using this as your rod holder right here, and it would extend out and your rod would kind of come up, your line would go down to the hole. But for today's video, let's pretend that that is the situation, that my rod is in there right now. So you're going to take your line here, and before you tie on your quick strike rig, you're going to put on a bobber stopper here, right here. Or you can kind of make your own little rig out of braided line as well too, your own little bobber stop. You don't have to get this crazy. But a bobber stopper, and then after that bobber stopper, you're going to put on one of these slip stops here that 2 of them come with the iFish Pros, and you can order extra of these and usually buy them in Cabela's as well. The old iFish Pros used to have a little bit different clip. These ones now are better. They stay on your line, they don't fall off, so you're less likely to lose them like you used to. But they slide onto your line here right after the bobber stopper there, and then you tie your quick strike rig on. This is going to come in super important when it comes to setting your how far down you go, your depth. Once you have all that on your line, you can then kind of adjust how far you want it to hang below the ice. So right now, if I let it hang down there, it's only going to hang, you know, that's going to be where the top of the ice here, it's only going to hang, you know, just below the ice, which I do like for a lot of occasions. But if you want to adjust it, you know, you just got to slide it up a little bit, and then that's where your line's going to hang. So what you're doing, get these tools out of the way here for now. Talk a little bit more later. This is going to go into your hole there, and then you're going to put your iFish Pro over the top of the hole there. And then as this kind of sinks down a little bit, sink, all the way down there, it's below the surface. You do want to hold on to your little slip stopper here. So you get to that point there, and it's a simple, put the flag down, put your stopper there. That's what's going to be your trigger. And then you put your slip stop there on, I'll go underneath the flag there because your rod's gonna be sitting on this side. So you have all of that set up there, and then you have your rod that's usually sticking out right here in this rod holder here. And then your line, like I said, is underneath that flag, not over top. And when a fish comes by right there, they're gonna just pull down, which is going to release that bobber stop. It's gonna pull it all the way out. It's gonna set that flag off just like that. Then your line is free spooling out. You can go over there, close the bail, reel it down to, and jam it to. One other thing about the iFish Pros real quick, you might notice in the videos that I had a little bit longer flag on it, and that's just because I popped this off here and put a little bit longer flag here. And that was just for last year when I was fishing in the deeper snow, just to give it a little bit more height. There was no reason for that right now. The flag that comes with it is perfectly fine. But as you start to get more and more snow throughout the season, it's nice to put some kind of extender on there for sure. I noticed that the spring isn't quite strong enough to get it up to where it should be. The other thing you might notice is my flags are black. I spray paint them just because black shows up the best on snow, hands down. Black for me has been always the way I'd like to go. Another cool thing to do, maybe put some reflectors on there if you're going to night fish. So when you're kind of, you know, scanning with your flashlight, you'll reflect and you'll be able to see if that flag is up. But I like the black for sure. Yellow is the worst. Orange isn't bad, but it's hard to beat the black ones. So that'll cover the iFish Pros. So what types of baits do I run on those quick strike rigs? This is a 13-inch Cisco. And this is a 9-inch herring. I was running both of these that day, one on each. The 9-inch herring is what got hit that day. I went through some footage on one of the Aqua Views though that I didn't look at right away. I was just looking yesterday, and I had a great big monster come up on the 13-inch Cisco, and he kind of nosed it a little bit, turned around, came back, poked at it a little bit more, and took off. Big baits will catch you big fish for sure, but it's probably not going to catch you a lot of fish throughout the day. These are both on the bigger side, but you know, you can kind of mess around with, especially if you have a bunch of people with a bunch of different sizes of baits and a bunch of different types of baits, and kind of, you know, find out what's working the best for that day. And maybe the last couple hours switch to all that, get the exact depths, you know, get the exact baits on all of them. But if you got tip ups that are close together, it's good to kind of switch it up a little bit. So now, how do you rig these baits? There's no perfect way or no right way. You always have to experiment a little bit what the fish are going to like that day. I like to hang most of my baits horizontal, especially if they're going to be anywhere just below the ice or anywhere in the middle of the water column. Once I start to get down closer to the bottom, I might dip them nose down a little bit and hang them like that, but most of the time I'm running stuff horizontal. So you want to kind of find your center point here, you know, on this big Cisco. It's always good if you kind of chip away some scales on it too to get your hook in there, because you do want it to pull out quite easily. And you just get one treble in there, find your center point there. So that's pretty close for sure. It's hanging almost there, center. And then your second treble, see this one, this bait I have set up for a little bit bigger, this rig, a little bit bigger fish yet too, some bigger Ciscos. But I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna find a spot here somewhere on the top of its head. And then I'm just gonna tuck it in here somewhere on the top so it pulls out easy. So you can see there that this bait hangs quite nicely. This front hook here, this is why you want to hit a quick strike rig almost instantly. They're most of the time going to take a bait head on like this, and once that bait is down, and once that bait starts to get in their mouth, they're just going to try to keep swallowing that bait head first all the way down. A fish will never eat a bait tail first, because look at all the fins that it has to deal with on the way down. It'll always eat the bait head first. If it bites it this way in the middle somewhere, it's going to try to swing it around till he gets to his head, and then he's going to swallow it that way. So that is how my bait will usually hang. And like I said, this is a little bit of a bigger bait, but this is a great size for some big mamas from now till the end of the season. Next thing I want to cover real quick, tools for pike fishing. Knipex, cutters, jaw spreaders, long needle nose pliers, a hook file. These three should go with you to the hole pretty much every time. Take these three tools with you every time you go to when there's a flag. A couple more tools you should take with you though too. You saw me use a hockey stick. That's just to kind of get the fish turned up the hole, especially if they're hooked poorly. I should start running maybe double tens even for big pike fishing. And then a scoop is always good too if you have to kind of scoop some of the slush out there to get to everything. Nothing wrong with, you know, carrying that with you. Maybe even you want to take some tape, you know, and tape your scoop to that hockey stick, so when you pick this up, you got both tools with you to go all the time. Kind of like that idea. I think I might do that in the future. One other tool that is completely different than these right here, I like the knee pads on the Striker ice suits. I've been using the hard water suit now for a couple of years. I just got the climate suit. Most of the time with flag fishing, you're going to spend a lot of time on your knees. Having the extra knee pads is so handy. Not to mention the suit's super warm, and then also floats if you ever fall in. But the knee pads there, that's just an added tool in itself. You spend a lot of time on that ice, and when you drill up a hole there, especially if there's not a lot of snow, and that the water kind of floods a little area there, and then it gets hard, it just gets jagged and tough. And even with these, you can kind of feel it on your knees. I can only remember how many times I banged my knees. You come home, bruises, scrapes, cuts. The knee pads are awesome to have. This was obviously unrelated to pike fishing, but I did use this in my video. Super impressed with it. I'm going to do a video in the future here of how many holes it can drill in a day. I was so skeptical of electric augers. This thing changed my mind completely. And this is, I paid full price for this product. Don't think that I'm trying to sell something to you. On that note, anything I ever talk about in my videos is stuff that I truly believe in and stuff that I use. Whether it's given to me, whether I buy it, whether I get a discount on it, it doesn't matter. I'm using it because I believe in it. If I use something in my video, it's because I believe in it and I think it's a great product, and I'll probably continue to use it. I'm always going to be honest with you. And just because I am using something doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. Explore, find stuff that's good for you, something that's easy for you to get your hands on to buy. But if you see me using a product, you can send me a message about it all the time, and I will be completely honest about it with you. This auger was unbelievable. I'm so happy with it. I used Aaron's for a little bit last year at the end of the season, and it totally changed my mind. I used to have an ion, which was awesome for in shacks and early season and reopening holes. But this thing, oh, unbelievable. If you could get your hands on one of these, do it. It's, like I said, I'm going to say it again, unbelievable. Oh, I don't know if I like this video. I sound more like a salesman for stuff. Please don't think of it as like that. I'm not trying to sell you a product or jam it down your throat. This is stuff that I just used in my video that kind of helped me throughout the day. I'm going to stick away from the filming stuff a little bit this time for sure and talk about that more in the future. I did run an Aqua View HD10 and a smaller Aqua View, which you didn't see any footage of this on the video. These are just an added tool to kind of help you throughout the day. Being able to see the fish and what they're doing. This isn't a necessity for pike fishing, obviously, but it's just something if you want to step up your game a little bit and learn more about what's going on, see how fish are taking the bait, see how many times they're circling the bait before they're hitting it, see how they're reacting for it. Maybe if you got a fish down there that's at the camera and it's looking at the bait, maybe you can go over there and give your line a little bit of a tick, and maybe that slight movement will trigger a strike. The cameras just come in so handy, and who doesn't like to watch fish eat on the underwater camera? It's so much fun. I was using the Humminbird Helix 7 there, and that was just to kind of go check the different depths through where I was. I found some 5 feet, some 7 feet, and some 10 feet. Again, you don't need this for tip-up fishing by any means, but it's just kind of another tool. You know, it's things you don't have to carry with you, but if you have it, you might as well use it for sure. Plus, with the GPS function on there, you can, you know, mark your spots. And if you catch a big pike out of a hole, I would waypoint that hole and probably drill really close to that spot next time. Big fish tend to use the same spots over and over for a reason. What that reason is all the time, it's always hard to figure out. Could be a rock bed, could be a travel area for bait fish, could be an oyster bed, could be some weeds down there. Whatever it is, big fish tend to use the same spots over and over. So if you catch a big fish in an area, mark it. There's a reason for it. We have all of a sudden, you know, in the end of a couple seasons, you have all these marks, and you'll be able to go, holy crap, you can pattern this one area that's, you know, 20 by 20 by 20, whatever it is, and it'll be like the spot on the spot. Okay, we covered rods, we covered reels, we covered everything pretty quick. The iFish Pro, I don't want to make this too long of a video. I want to try to keep it under 10 minutes if possible. We'll try to see how it goes. I'm going to do more videos like this in the future. We talked a little bit about the quick straight rigs. I'm going to do a complete different video on that in the future though, with using the crimping tools and everything, how I make them and how to make them for different lengths and, you know, to support your different types of baits. But you can buy the quick straight rigs from the store. Don't think you have to make them, but I just like to make them because I can adjust them. I can make them to whatever size of bait that I want. I'm just rambling like a donkey right now. Blah, 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 blah. That's how it goes, right? So I went to my phone there and I checked Facebook and Instagram to see if anybody had some other questions that I didn't cover. I'm going to get to all the cameras that I use, filming a video and all of that and more in the future. This is just about this video right here and what I use for this tools, but I got to answer one question. It's getting lots of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's getting lots of something. Insert fancy word here. Sometimes I'm just so, the buck right here. People are asking about it. It's my big boy. This thing scores a whopping 199 and 5/8. It's got matching inside flyers here that they were scored as non-typical points. The typical points were scored on the outside. You can see here and here. I had a couple people score it differently, but like I said, 199, 5/8. It is a monster. Believe it or not, I do hunt. I just don't really post a lot about it or don't talk about it. If hunting videos are something you guys want to see next year on my channel, let me know. I'd love to put them out there as well. It's that weird line that some people like to fish but hate to hunt. But most people that like to hunt also like to fish. It's kind of a weird little bit of a line there. So like I said, I want to put some hunting videos out, but I don't really want to offend anybody. I hate offending people online. If I offend you, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. But yeah, that's all the gear that I used for this video. GoPro just died up there, so perfect timing. It's short, it's simple, it's sweet. Hope you guys like this video. If you want to see more of them in the future, please comment below, let me know. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you soon.